Imagine standing at the crossroads of your life, holding within you an infinite power that could reshape your entire existence, yet never knowing it was there. Picture yourself discovering a secret so profound, so transformative, that once understood, nothing in your world would ever look the same again. What if I told you that within the depths of your own mind lies a force more powerful than any external circumstance? A creative energy that has been waiting, patiently, for you to acknowledge its presence and unleash its potential? This isn't fantasy. This isn't wishful thinking. This is the revolutionary truth that Robert Collier unveiled in his masterwork, The Secret of the Ages, a book that has transformed millions of lives and continues to illuminate the path to prosperity, health, and boundless success. In the early 20th century, when the world was gripped by uncertainty and countless individuals struggled to find their footing in rapidly changing times, one man dared to challenge the conventional wisdom about success and failure. Robert Collier, through years of study, observation, and personal experience, discovered something extraordinary, something that the ancient philosophers knew, that the great achievers throughout history had tapped into, and that modern science was beginning to confirm. He discovered that the human mind is not merely a processor of information, but a creative force capable of shaping reality itself. This wasn't mysticism or superstition, it was a practical, demonstrable principle that anyone could learn and apply, regardless of their background, education, or current circumstances. The fundamental premise of Collier's teaching centers on one revolutionary idea: that thought is the primary creative force in the universe. Before anything exists in the physical world, it must first exist as a thought, an idea, a mental image. The chair you're sitting on, the device you're using to listen to this, the clothes you're wearing, all of these began as thoughts in someone's mind. But Collier took this understanding far deeper. He recognized that this creative power of thought isn't limited to inventors and entrepreneurs. It belongs to every single person, and it's operating in your life right now, whether you're aware of it or not. The question isn't whether your thoughts are creating your reality. The question is, what kind of reality are your thoughts creating? Most people go through life as passive observers, believing that their circumstances are determined by external factors, their upbringing, the economy, their education, luck, or fate. They see themselves as victims of forces beyond their control, blown about by the winds of chance. But Collier revealed a startling truth, that we are not victims but creators, and the circumstances of our lives are largely the result of our habitual patterns of thinking. This doesn't mean that external factors don't exist or that challenges aren't real, but it means that our response to these factors, our interpretation of events, and most importantly, our dominant mental attitudes determine the trajectory of our lives far more than the events themselves. Think about two people who experience the same setback. Perhaps they both lose their jobs. One person sees this as a catastrophe, a confirmation of their unworthiness, a sign that life is against them. Their thoughts spiral into fear, resentment, and despair. The other person, while certainly disappointed, sees this as an opportunity for reinvention, a chance to pursue something they've always wanted to do, or simply a temporary obstacle to overcome. Same external event, completely different internal responses, and as you can imagine, completely different outcomes. The first person's negative thought patterns attract more negative experiences, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure and limitation. The second person's positive, solution-oriented thinking opens doors to new possibilities and attracts opportunities that align with their optimistic outlook. Collier explained this phenomenon through what he called the universal mind, an infinite intelligence that permeates all of existence. This isn't a religious concept, although it aligns with many spiritual traditions, but rather an acknowledgement that there is an underlying intelligence in the universe, observable in the perfect laws of nature, the intricate design of living systems, and the orderly progression of cause and effect. Every individual mind is connected to this universal mind, like drops of water in an infinite ocean. When you understand this connection and learn to work with it consciously, you gain access to wisdom, power, and resources far beyond your individual capacity. The key to accessing this infinite intelligence lies in understanding how your mind works. Collier identified two aspects of the mind: the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Your conscious mind is the reasoning, analytical part, the part that's aware of your thoughts and makes deliberate decisions. It's like the captain of a ship, setting the direction and giving orders. But the real power lies in the subconscious mind, which is like the crew that actually runs the ship. The subconscious mind is the seat of your habits, emotions, and automatic responses. It never sleeps, never rests, and most importantly, it cannot distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. This is the secret that changes everything. Your subconscious mind accepts as truth whatever your conscious mind impresses upon it repeatedly and with feeling. If you constantly think thoughts of poverty, limitation, and failure, your subconscious mind accepts this as the reality you desire and works tirelessly to manifest circumstances that match these thoughts. It doesn't judge whether these thoughts are good for you, it simply obeys the instructions it receives. Conversely, when you deliberately and consistently hold thoughts of abundance, success, and well-being in your conscious mind, especially when accompanied by positive emotion, your subconscious mind accepts these as instructions and begins orchestrating circumstances, attracting opportunities, and inspiring actions that bring these mental images into physical reality. This is where most people make a critical error. They wish for success, they hope for prosperity, they want better health, but their habitual thought patterns contradict these desires. They spend 5 minutes visualizing success and 23 hours and 55 minutes worrying about failure. They affirm abundance in the morning and complain about lack all day long. The subconscious mind responds to the dominant patterns, not to occasional wishes. It's like planting a garden. If you plant 1 seed of corn but 1,000 seeds of weeds, you shouldn't be surprised when your garden is overrun with weeds. You must be vigilant about the thoughts you allow to dominate your mental landscape. Collier provided practical methods for reprogramming the subconscious mind and aligning it with your desires. The first and most powerful technique is visualization. This isn't merely daydreaming or idle fantasy, but deliberate, focused mental imagery where you create a vivid, detailed picture of your desired outcome as if it were already accomplished. You engage all your senses in this mental creation. What does it look like? What sounds are present? What does success feel like in your body? What emotions arise when you've achieved your goal? The more real and tangible you can make this mental image, the more powerfully it impresses itself upon your subconscious mind. But visualization alone isn't enough. You must accompany it with feeling. Emotion is the energy that gives power to your thoughts. A thought without emotion is like a seed without water. It has potential but no activation energy. When you visualize your desired outcome and simultaneously generate the feelings of joy, gratitude, excitement, and satisfaction that would accompany its achievement, you create a powerful impression on your subconscious mind. This emotional charge tells your subconscious that this is important, that this matters, that this is a priority to be manifested. One of the most profound insights Collier shared is that you don't need to know how your desires will manifest. This is where many people get stuck. They want to see the entire path before they take the first step. They want guarantees and certainties in an uncertain world. But the conscious mind, limited by its logical, linear nature, cannot possibly envision all the pathways through which the universal mind might work. Your job is to define clearly what you want, to hold that vision with unwavering faith, and to take whatever actions are inspired from within. The how is the business of the universal mind, working through your subconscious. Your business is the what and the why, what you desire and why you desire it. This brings us to another crucial principle, the power of faith. Faith, in Collier's teaching, isn't blind belief or religious dogma, but a deep confidence in the creative power of thought and the responsiveness of the universal mind. It's the knowing, even before you see physical evidence, that what you've claimed in consciousness must manifest in experience. This faith isn't passive, it's an active, dynamic force that sustains your vision through temporary setbacks and apparent obstacles. Without faith, visualization becomes mere fantasy, affirmation becomes empty words, and the creative process collapses under the weight of doubt. Doubt is the great enemy of manifestation. When you hold a vision of success but simultaneously entertain doubts about its possibility, you send mixed signals to your subconscious mind. It's like driving a car with one foot on the accelerator and one foot on the brake. You create a lot of heat and noise but don't make much progress. Collier emphasized that you must guard your mind vigilantly against the intrusion of doubt, fear, and negative thinking. This doesn't mean denying reality or pretending problems don't exist, but it means refusing to give negative thoughts the power of your sustained attention and emotional energy. One practical method Collier recommended for building faith and eliminating doubt is the use of affirmations. An affirmation is a positive statement, declared in the present tense, that describes your desired condition as if it were already true. For example, instead of saying, "I hope to be successful someday," you declare, "I am successful now. I am prosperous, abundant, and grateful for the wealth that flows into my life." When repeated consistently, especially in a relaxed state where the subconscious mind is most receptive, these affirmations begin to replace old, limiting beliefs with new, empowering ones. The best times for impressing new thoughts on the subconscious are the moments just before sleep and immediately upon waking. In these twilight states between waking and sleeping, the conscious mind's critical filter is relaxed, and the subconscious is highly suggestible. Collier recommended spending at least 15 minutes each night, as you're drifting off to sleep, visualizing your desires as already accomplished and repeating affirmations that align with your goals. Do the same upon waking, before the demands and distractions of the day take hold. These consistent mental practices, performed daily over weeks and months, create profound shifts in your subconscious programming and, consequently, in your external circumstances. But Collier was careful to emphasize that this isn't a magic formula where you simply think positive thoughts and wait for a miracle. The creative process requires action, but not just any action, inspired action. As you consistently hold your vision and maintain faith in its manifestation, you'll notice that ideas come to you, opportunities present themselves, and you feel guided toward certain actions. These aren't random coincidences. They're the universal mind working through you, coordinating circumstances and inspiring you toward the realization of your vision. Your responsibility is to act on these inspirations promptly and decisively. Many people fail to manifest their desires because they receive guidance but don't act on it. They get an idea to call someone, but they put it off. They feel inspired to pursue a certain course, but fear or procrastination holds them back. They encounter an opportunity, but they convince themselves they're not ready or it's not the right time. The universe, or universal mind, can only work through your actions. It can present opportunities, but you must walk through the doors that open. It can inspire ideas, but you must implement them. The creative process is a partnership between your conscious intention, your subconscious power, and the infinite intelligence of universal mind, expressed through your deliberate actions in the physical world. Collier also addressed one of the most common concerns people have when they first encounter these teachings, the question of worthiness. Many people believe they don't deserve success, abundance, or happiness because of past mistakes, current limitations, or feelings of inadequacy. This is perhaps the most destructive belief anyone can hold because it sabotages the creative process before it even begins. Collier was emphatic on this point. You are a unique expression of the universal mind, endowed with creative power and unlimited potential. Your worthiness isn't based on your past performance, your current circumstances, or other people's opinions. It's inherent in your very nature as a conscious, creative being. The universe doesn't withhold its gifts based on merit or worthiness as humans judge these things. Nature doesn't give sunlight only to the deserving, it shines on everyone equally. The rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. The laws of mind work the same for everyone, regardless of background, education, or past failures. The only thing that limits you is your own acceptance of limitation. The only thing that keeps you in poverty is poverty consciousness. The only thing that perpetuates failure is a failure mentality. Once you recognize that you have the same access to infinite intelligence and creative power as anyone who has ever lived, that you are worthy simply because you exist, a tremendous burden lifts and your creative power is unleashed. One of the most practical sections of Collier's work deals with the specific application of these principles to common life challenges. Let's consider the realm of business and financial prosperity, an area where most people feel they're at the mercy of external economic forces. Collier revealed that even in business and finance, consciousness is the determining factor. Two people can have the same education, start with the same resources, and work in the same industry, yet one thrives while the other barely survives. The difference isn't luck or external circumstances, it's consciousness. The person with prosperity consciousness sees opportunities, where others see obstacles. They approach challenges with confidence rather than fear. They expect success and, because of this expectation, they act in ways that produce success. Their positive, abundant mindset attracts customers, partners, and resources that align with their vision. This isn't mysterious or supernatural. It's a natural result of the fact that our outer world reflects our inner world. When you genuinely believe in your value and the value of what you offer, others sense this confidence and are drawn to do business with you. When you approach financial matters with an expectation of abundance rather than anxiety about scarcity, you make better decisions, take calculated risks, and recognize opportunities that fear-based thinking would cause you to miss. Collier shared numerous examples of individuals who transformed their financial situations by transforming their thinking. One man, deeply in debt and on the verge of bankruptcy, began practicing the principles systematically. Every day, he visualized himself debt-free and prosperous. He affirmed his connection to infinite supply. He refused to dwell on his current lack and instead focused all his mental energy on the abundance he was claiming. Within months, unexpected opportunities arose. A forgotten investment paid dividends. A new business contact led to lucrative contracts, and creative solutions to his problems emerged seemingly out of nowhere. Within 2 years, he was not only debt-free but had built a thriving enterprise. Did the principles create magic? No, they aligned his consciousness with prosperity, which caused him to think differently, act differently, and attract different results. The same principles apply to health and well-being. Your body is not separate from your mind, it's an expression of it. Every cell in your body is influenced by your thoughts and emotions. Medical science has confirmed what Collier taught decades ago, that stress, negative emotions, and destructive thought patterns have measurable, harmful effects on physical health, while positive emotions, optimistic thinking, and mental peace promote healing and vitality. This doesn't mean that all illness is caused by wrong thinking or that positive thinking alone can cure every disease, but it means that your mental state is a powerful factor in your overall health, far more powerful than most people realize. Collier encouraged readers to visualize perfect health, to see themselves vibrant, energetic, and strong. He recommended affirming the life force flowing through every cell, renewing and revitalizing the body. He taught that dwelling on symptoms, constantly talking about illness, and maintaining a consciousness of weakness actually reinforces and perpetuates these conditions. Instead, even while dealing with physical challenges, one should hold firmly to a mental image of perfect health, give thanks for the healing that is taking place, and trust the infinite intelligence within the body to restore balance and wholeness. This approach isn't about denying reality or refusing medical treatment. It's about supporting healing on every level: physical, mental, and spiritual. Many people who adopt these practices report remarkable recoveries or significant improvements in chronic conditions. Again, this isn't magic. It's the natural result of aligning your consciousness with health rather than disease, thereby allowing the body's innate healing mechanisms to function optimally. Relationships, too, are profoundly influenced by consciousness. The quality of your relationships reflects the quality of your thinking about yourself and others. If you approach relationships with fear, suspicion, or a sense of unworthiness, you'll attract relationships that mirror these attitudes. If you hold thoughts of love, appreciation, and value for yourself and others, you'll attract relationships characterized by these qualities. Collier taught that we don't meet people by accident. We attract into our lives those whose consciousness resonates with our own. This is why changing yourself is the most effective way to change your relationships. If you want to attract a loving partner, you must first cultivate the qualities you seek within yourself. If you want loyal friends, you must be loyal. If you want respectful treatment, you must respect yourself and others. The outer world, including the people in it, is a mirror reflecting your inner world. When you change what's inside, the reflection changes automatically. Many people have experienced this phenomenon. After working on themselves, healing old wounds, and raising their consciousness, they suddenly find that toxic relationships fall away and new, positive relationships enter their lives, or existing relationships transform for the better. Perhaps one of the most liberating aspects of Collier's teaching is the understanding that you're never stuck, that no matter what your current circumstances, you can change them by changing your thinking. Age is no barrier. Lack of education is no barrier. Past failures are no barrier. History is filled with examples of people who achieved remarkable success later in life, after multiple failures, or despite lacking formal education. What they had in common was a consciousness of possibility, a refusal to accept limitation, and a willingness to align their thinking with their desires. Consider Colonel Sanders, who founded Kentucky Fried Chicken when he was in his 60s, after facing numerous failures and rejections. Consider Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before succeeding, but who never accepted defeat in consciousness. Consider countless others, known and unknown, who have demonstrated that circumstances are temporary and changeable, while consciousness is the permanent creative force. You have this same power. Right now, regardless of what has happened in your past or what your current situation looks like, you can begin creating a new reality by creating new thoughts. Collier also addressed the question of service and contribution, teaching that true success isn't selfish but naturally includes benefiting others. The universe operates on the principle of circulation. Energy must flow. When you hoard, whether it's money, love, knowledge, or anything else, you create stagnation. When you give freely and generously, you create flow, and what you give out returns to you multiplied. This isn't altruism or charity. Though these are noble, it's an understanding of a fundamental law of prosperity. The most successful people aren't those who only think about their own gain but those who provide genuine value to others. When your primary focus is on how you can solve problems, meet needs, and improve lives, prosperity flows naturally. This is why Collier emphasized the importance of finding your purpose, the unique way you're meant to serve and contribute. When you discover and pursue your purpose, work no longer feels like drudgery, it becomes a joyful expression of who you are. And because you're aligned with your purpose, you're aligned with the flow of universal mind, which provides everything you need to fulfill your mission. How do you discover your purpose? By looking within, by paying attention to what excites you, what feels meaningful, what you would do even if you weren't paid for it. Your purpose is always connected to your passions and natural talents because the universe designed you specifically to fulfill a particular role. When you're doing what you're meant to do, you experience a sense of rightness, of being in flow, where effort becomes effortless and obstacles seem to dissolve. This is your signal that you're aligned with your purpose and with the universal mind. Collier spent considerable time discussing the practical discipline required to master your mind. This isn't a one-time exercise but a lifelong practice. The mind, if left unguarded, naturally tends toward worry, doubt, and negative thinking, largely because of conditioning from childhood and societal influences. From early ages, most people are taught to focus on problems rather than solutions, to see obstacles rather than opportunities, to expect limitation rather than abundance. These patterns are deeply ingrained, and transforming them requires conscious, consistent effort. The practice begins with awareness. You must become conscious of your thoughts, which most people never do. Thoughts flow through the mind like a river, mostly unobserved and unexamined. The first step in mental mastery is to become the observer of your thoughts, to notice what you're thinking without judgment. As you practice this awareness, you'll likely be surprised, perhaps even shocked, at how negative and limiting most of your thoughts are. This awareness itself is transformative because you cannot change what you're not aware of. Once you're aware of your thought patterns, you can begin to consciously direct them. When you catch yourself thinking a limiting thought, you don't condemn yourself or feel guilty, you simply choose a different thought. If you catch yourself thinking, "I can't afford that," you consciously replace it with, "Money flows to me easily and abundantly." If you catch yourself thinking, "This is too hard," you replace it with, "I have the wisdom and strength to handle any challenge." This isn't self-deception. It's choosing to focus on truth, the truth of your creative power and connection to infinite resources, rather than accepting the illusion of limitation. Over time, with consistent practice, these new thought patterns become habitual. What once required conscious effort becomes automatic. Your subconscious mind has been reprogrammed, and you naturally begin to think thoughts of possibility, abundance, and success. When this happens, your life transforms, not through struggle or force, but naturally and organically, like a plant growing toward the light. The external changes are simply the inevitable result of the internal transformation. Collier also addressed the importance of present moment awareness and gratitude. Many people live almost entirely in the past or future, replaying old hurts or anxiously anticipating problems that may never occur. This not only creates stress and unhappiness but also weakens your creative power because the only moment in which you can create is now. The past is gone and cannot be changed, though your interpretation of it can be transformed. The future hasn't happened yet. The present moment is where your power resides. Gratitude is the key to unlocking present moment power. When you cultivate genuine gratitude for what you have right now, even if it's far less than you desire, you shift your consciousness from lack to abundance. Gratitude says to the universe, "I recognize and appreciate the good I have, send me more." Complaint and dissatisfaction say, "I'm focused on what's missing, send me more lack." This isn't about being satisfied with mediocrity or giving up your dreams. It's about appreciating where you are while moving toward where you want to be. It's about recognizing that even in difficult circumstances, there is always something to be grateful for, and that focusing on these blessings attracts more blessings. Collier recommended a daily practice of gratitude, spending time each day acknowledging specific Things you're grateful for, not generic gratitude, but specific appreciation for particular people, circumstances, and blessings in your life. This practice, simple as it seems, has profound effects on consciousness. It trains your mind to look for the good, which means you'll notice more good. What you look for, you find. What you focus on, expands. A gratitude practice literally rewires your brain to perceive abundance, which creates more abundance. Another powerful principle Collier taught is the law of substitution, the understanding that your mind can only hold one thought at a time. When a negative, limiting thought enters your mind, you can't effectively fight it or suppress it because resistance creates persistence. Instead, you substitute it with a positive thought. You can't think about poverty and prosperity simultaneously. You can't dwell on failure while visualizing success. By deliberately choosing empowering thoughts and substituting them for disempowering ones, you gradually transform your mental landscape. This is particularly useful for dealing with worry and anxiety. Worry is simply sustained negative visualization, imagining unwanted outcomes in vivid detail. It's the creative process used destructively. When you catch yourself worrying, don't try to stop worrying. Instead, deliberately redirect your mental energy to visualizing the outcome you desire. If you're worrying about a financial problem, stop and vividly imagine the problem solved. See yourself prosperous and at ease. If you're anxious about a health concern, visualize yourself healthy and vital. This substitution breaks the worry pattern and redirects your creative power toward what you want rather than what you fear. Collier was realistic about the challenges inherent in this work. He acknowledged that mastering your mind isn't easy, especially in the beginning. You're working against years, perhaps decades, of conditioning. You're swimming against the current of mass consciousness, which is predominantly negative and limiting. You'll face setbacks, doubts, and moments when the old patterns reassert themselves with a vengeance. This is normal and expected. The key is persistence, to keep practicing regardless of how you feel, regardless of immediate results, trusting that the law is working even when you can't see evidence of it yet. He compared this practice to physical exercise. When you begin a fitness program, you don't see results immediately. You might even feel worse in the beginning, sore and tired. But if you persist, if you exercise consistently day after day, eventually the results appear, your body transforms. Mental and spiritual practice works the same way. You practice visualization, affirmation, and positive thinking consistently, even when nothing seems to be changing. Then, suddenly, you notice that your circumstances are different, opportunities are appearing, your health is improving, relationships are better. The change seemed sudden, but it was actually the cumulative result of all that consistent practice. One of the most common reasons people fail with these principles is that they give up too soon. They practice for a few days or weeks, don't see dramatic results, and conclude that it doesn't work. This is like planting a seed, watering it for 3 days, not seeing a plant, and concluding that seeds don't grow. The law is always working, but there's often a lag between cause and effect in the physical world. Your persistent thoughts and feelings are creating, but the manifestation may not be visible yet. This is where faith comes in, continuing to hold your vision and maintain your practice even before you see physical evidence. Collier shared that some desires manifest quickly while others take longer, depending on various factors including the magnitude of the change required, the depth of your faith, and the consistency of your practice. Small manifestations might appear within days, while major life transformations might require months or even years of consistent mental work. The timeline doesn't matter. What matters is the certainty that the law is working and that persistence will produce results. Every day of faithful practice is bringing your desires closer to manifestation, even when you can't see it. He also addressed the question of failure and setbacks, which every person encounters on the path to success. The difference between those who ultimately succeed and those who give up isn't that successful people don't face obstacles, it's that they interpret obstacles differently. A setback is simply feedback, information about what's not working, an opportunity to adjust your approach. It's not a judgment on your worth or a sign that you should quit. Every successful person has a history of failures that they viewed as learning experiences rather than defeats. When you understand the principles Collier taught, failure becomes impossible in the ultimate sense because you know that as long as you persist, maintain your vision, and keep adjusting your approach, you will eventually succeed. The only true failure is giving up. Everything else is just part of the journey, part of the learning process, part of the strengthening that prepares you for the success you're moving toward. Edison failed 10,000 times before creating a working light bulb, but he didn't consider any of those attempts failures. He considered them 10,000 discoveries of what doesn't work, bringing him closer to what does. This perspective on failure is liberating. It removes the fear that paralyzes so many people, keeping them from taking risks, trying new things, or pursuing their dreams. When you know that you can't ultimately fail, that every experience is moving you forward, that the universe is on your side supporting your growth and success, you become bold, willing to act, willing to try, willing to persist in the face of temporary setbacks. This boldness, born of understanding rather than recklessness, is essential to great achievement. Collier also explored the relationship between the individual and the collective, between personal success and the good of all. Some people worry that focusing on personal success is selfish or that their gain somehow comes at others' expense. This concern reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of prosperity. The universe isn't a pie where one person's slice means less for everyone else. The universe is infinite abundance, unlimited creativity, ever-expanding possibility. Your success doesn't diminish anyone. It actually elevates everyone because you become a demonstration of what's possible, an inspiration to others, and a resource through which greater good can flow. When you prosper, you have more to give, more to share, more capacity to help others. When you're struggling and limited, you have little to offer beyond your struggle. Which serves the world better, you in lack or you in abundance? The answer is obvious. Furthermore, when you demonstrate these principles and achieve success, you inspire others to believe in their own power and possibility. Your success gives others permission to succeed. This is why pursuing your dreams isn't selfish. It's one of the greatest contributions you can make. True prosperity consciousness includes everyone. It recognizes that there's enough for all, that another person's success doesn't threaten yours, and that we rise together. When you genuinely celebrate others' successes instead of feeling envious, when you share generously instead of hoarding fearfully, when you cooperate instead of competing from scarcity, you align yourself with the abundant nature of the universe and attract even more abundance into your life. As we near the conclusion of this exploration, it's important to emphasize the central message that runs through all of Collier's teachings. You are a creative being with access to infinite power, and the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thinking. This isn't theory or philosophy, it's practical truth that you can verify through your own experience. You don't need to believe it on faith alone, you can test it, apply these principles systematically in your life and observe the results. Start today, right now, by taking inventory of your dominant thoughts. What do you think about most often? What are your habitual mental patterns regarding money, health, relationships, and success? Are these thoughts aligned with what you desire, or are they creating more of what you don't want? Be honest with yourself because awareness is the beginning of transformation. Then, make a decision, a firm, committed decision that you will take control of your mental life, that you will no longer allow random, negative, limiting thoughts to run unchecked through your mind. Decide that you will become the master of your thoughts rather than their slave. This decision is the turning point, the moment when everything begins to change. Next, create a clear vision of what you desire. Don't worry about how it will happen, just define what you want as specifically as possible. What does your ideal life look like? How much money do you want to earn? What kind of work do you want to do? What level of health and vitality do you desire? What kind of relationships do you want? Write these desires down, make them concrete and specific. Then begin the daily practice. Spend time each morning and evening visualizing your desires as already accomplished. Feel the emotions of success, prosperity, health, and happiness as if these conditions were your current reality. Repeat affirmations that align with your vision. Throughout the day, monitor your thoughts and substitute positive, empowering thoughts for negative, limiting ones. Practice gratitude for what you have. Act on inspired ideas that come to you. Do this consistently, day after day, week after week, regardless of immediate results. As you persist in this practice, you'll notice changes, first subtle, then more obvious. Opportunities will appear, ideas will come, people will show up in your life at just the right time, circumstances will shift in your favor. These aren't coincidences. They're the natural result of aligning your consciousness with your desires and allowing the universal mind to work through you. But remember, this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme or a magic formula that requires no effort. It's a fundamental reorientation of your relationship with reality, a recognition of your true nature as a creative being, and a commitment to conscious, deliberate thought. It requires discipline, especially in the beginning. It requires faith, especially when circumstances seem to contradict your vision. It requires persistence, especially when progress seems slow, yet the rewards are beyond measure. When you truly grasp and apply these principles, you become free from the tyranny of circumstances, free from the limitations of your past, free from the fears that have held you back. You discover that life is not happening to you but through you, that you are not a victim but a creator, that you are not at the mercy of forces beyond your control but the director of your own experience. This is the secret that has been hidden in plain sight throughout the ages, known by the wise, taught by the enlightened, and now available to you. The power you've been seeking outside yourself, in other people, in circumstances, in luck or fate, has been within you all along, waiting for you to recognize and claim it. This power is your birthright, your true nature, your divine inheritance. Robert Collier's work has transformed millions of lives over nearly a century because the principles he taught are timeless truths, not dependent on culture, era, or circumstance. They worked in his time, they work now, and they will work in any future time because they're based on the fundamental laws of consciousness and creation. You have in your hands, or rather in your mind, the same power that has created every great achievement, every magnificent work, every remarkable life throughout human history. The question now is not whether these principles work. Countless people have proven that they do. The question is whether you will apply them, whether you'll move from understanding to action, from interest to commitment, from hoping to knowing. The choice is yours, and it's a choice you make not once but continuously through your thoughts, your focus, and your actions. Before we close, I want to remind you that learning doesn't end here. The principles we've explored today are just the beginning of a journey that can last a lifetime, a journey of self-discovery, growth, and unlimited possibility. If you found value in this exploration of the secret of the ages, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to Audiobook Library, where we bring you insights and wisdom from the greatest books ever written. By subscribing, you'll continue your education, deepen your understanding, and surround yourself with ideas that elevate and inspire. Remember, the mind that learns grows, and the mind that grows transforms not only your life but the lives of everyone you touch. Every video you watch, every principle you learn and apply, every step you take toward mastering your consciousness is an investment in yourself and your future. The greatest investment you can ever make is in your own mind, your own understanding, your own growth. So take what you've learned today and put it into practice. Don't let this be merely interesting information that you forget tomorrow. Make it living truth that you embody and express. Your life is your masterpiece, your thoughts are your brush, and the canvas is unlimited. What will you create? The power is yours. The choice is yours. The time is now. Thank you for spending this time exploring these life-changing principles, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video as we continue this journey of discovery together here at Audiobook Library.